Let's bring in Morris Pearl, chairman of the Patriotic Millionaires, a group of high net worth individuals committed to equality for all Americans. All right, Morris, you're a millionaire, obviously. Who's right? Is it Pete Buttigieg or is it Liz Warren or Bernie Sanders who would very much like to have the U.S. government pay for everybody's college education?
Look, a lot of things are provided as public goods. Elementary school education, libraries, all kinds of stuff. I think it'd be great if a few millionaires sent their kids to the same colleges and universities that everyone else does, and same with regular people.
Yeah, but I guess it's not so much that. It's whether the U.S. government, the federal government, should fund it for all people versus means testing.
Look, they fund lots of things for all people. We all get the same privileges to drive on the highways. We all go to the same hospitals. We all send our kids to the same elementary schools, or most of us do anyway. I think that's perfectly fine. I think it'd be good if the few millionaires who actually send their kids to private schools mostly now change their minds and suddenly say, oh, state schools are free. Let's send our kids to state schools instead of Ivy League schools.
Okay, so
that would be fine.
If they committed it specifically to state schools, then that would be okay with you.
That'd be fine with me.
Can we afford that?
Sure, we can. We are the greatest, most wealthy nation in the face of the earth. We can afford it.
All right. Which candidate is most closely aligned with the theories and ideas of your group?
Look, I think all of the candidates on the Democratic primary are a lot more aligned with the theories of our group than the current incumbent is.
Why? What is it about Donald Trump that you feel is not aligned? He has helped the economy. He has helped African-American unemployment levels. He's certainly helped most votes to rise.
He's made inequality far, far worse than it had been before. We had a tax cut that helped the rich people get richer and richer and richer, and frankly left the majority of Americans behind. The majority of people are not participating in the stock market, not participating in the growing economy, and are still waiting.
Well, I would say, though, that if people have 401ks at their job, no matter where they work, they are participating because the stock market is up. But I understand what you mean. Having given corporations an unbelievably generous tax cut to 21%, may have been excessive, particularly because we see the expanding debt and the deficit, and it's a nightmare that nobody wants to tackle or embrace on either side. That becomes the problem. However, Mike Bloomberg, where do you feel he stands in all of this? While he is very much a conservative when it comes to finances and money, he started his own business. He is self-made, very impressive. He is also socially quite understanding and liberal when it comes to taking money and distributing it to people who might need it. That must ring your bell, does it not?
Well, yeah. If he wants to run on a platform of reducing inequality, of helping the less well-to-do people, helping the majority of Americans who, unlike you and I and the people who work here at Fox, don't have 401ks and don't have stock market portfolios, if he wants to help all of those people, sure, that'd be great.
You know, you retweeted Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman here from New York, the suggestion that she made that the millions of dollars being spent specifically on, quote, plutocratic, long-shot, very late presidential bids, read Bloomberg, should be spent on state legislature races instead. Is Bloomberg's entry, do you believe, into this race a mistake?
Well, look, he has his billions of dollars. He can spend them on whatever he wants. I think it's great to be rich. I think everybody should be rich. I recommend it. But I think that he should be willing to do things that reduce inequality, not increase inequality. I think we should have taxes on wealth. The majority of Americans pay taxes on their wealth in their homes and houses, not the majority of billionaires. That should change.
How many people in your Patriotic Millionaires group?
Several hundred.
Mm-hmm. And every single one of them has no problem being taxed more, paying more depending on their wealth.
Well, that's why they signed up for the group, because they want to promote more fair taxation. They want to promote a society where there's lots of people who have enough money to pay their bills and help us get rich. That's how we make money, by people paying their bills every month, whether it's iTunes or phones or mortgages. And we need a middle class where people that have money to spend money, and that's what makes our economy grow.
My dad grew up very, very poor, and he used to say, I was able to grow my wealth because of much of what this great country offers, and to a certain extent, I owe that back to the country.
Yes, and a lot of people feel that way, and a lot of people understand that, but not everyone does, unfortunately.
Morris Pearl, we'll see you again before this election
Thank you,
year
Liz.
is out. Thank you
Great.
so much.
I hope so. Thank you, Liz.